Okay. Hopefully it's audible now. This is the third attempt at giving this talk. Okay. Hello, everyone. I keep resetting this talk in my mind, thinking about how to share it, how to give it, what sort of technical difficulties might there be. And you know what I've realized? This life will give you many types of karmic movement, you know? And all that man can do is just go forth. And when we realize that eternity means to be an endless, continuous momentum, all right. Dear viewers, my throat is a bit uncomfortable. I think it's due to the smoking. And I'm also a bit nasally, so I'm gonna also bring the notepad here. Okay. So, alright, let me see how I can open up this episode. First of all, dear viewers, something about the title. Pretty much this observation. The title arose because I was like, okay, what is this? We are creatures in a world, and these creatures are afraid of what's going to happen in the world, but is the world afraid of the creatures? Do you know? And I realize that the forces of nature are actually, the more mindless they are, the more fearless they are. And fear is an intelligent development. You know, we human beings think like fear is a sign of shame. And sure, in certain scenarios, unnecessary fear is shameful. You know, I don't normally talk about this, but I had this long-term relationship years ago. And one night I hear this sound. What do you call it? This sound at the door. I feel like something's moving, and it's at night, and I'm in the, we're in the bedroom, and what happens is I just jump. I don't know what it is, but there's this feeling that when something important is happening, if you feel you're important, you run towards it, strangely. This world calls us. This is what I have realized. This world is communicating to us in every moment, and there are hidden languages which arrive through hidden angles of perceiving the moment. And so, anyways, what I'm trying to tell the viewers is that I just realized, like, holy shit, this tire of the car parked beside mine, is not afraid of me. The inanimate doesn't have fear. Why? Because part of that, spiritual people or mystical people are like, yo, wait a minute, I'm noticing change. Does that mean I'm changeless? And I constantly, my attention, recently at least, it has gone to this sentence where Hafiz says, this poet from 700 years ago, where he says, one regret, dear world, I wish not to have on my deathbed, is that I did not kiss you enough. And so what this means is that to be a human being, after 4.5 billion years of a unique history on Earth, there's this evolutionary opportunity, and we are fearing it. Our ancestors worked so hard to get us here, and they're like, yo, this kid has confidence issues. I died to get this, to get my descendants here, and now they're like doubting themselves. You know what it is? So I think that when I think of like my ancestors looking at me, I think that if I behave like them, it will scare them if they were alive. This is something I am trying to convey to the religious community, to the religious communities of this planet. But unfortunately, I'll be honest, I've had moments where I've been fearless, and I've been proud that I've been fearless in those moments. And there's been moments where I've had fear, There's moments where you feel your own frailty. And you're like, oh my God, everybody is a candle here. For some time, their intelligence being the glow that they're creating. Because what is this? There was a time where in 2011, if somebody came and asked me, hey man, do you know what the world is? Do you know what the nature of reality is? Do you even care about that? And I'll be like, buddy, you're looking for the truth of reality. I'm just trying to, make money and try to live the rap video life. But there is something, when it comes to intelligence, just trying to articulate fear. We have people like Freud who, when it has come to, let's say, the conflict between theism and atheism, or secularism and religiosity. It's as if people don't realize it, but fear is divine. There was the subjective cognitive system and whatnot, the background story and everything. It's pretty much like when we wake up, we log into our past saved like data, But anyways, there's a deeper intention behind the title of this episode. Okay. Alright, let's type some stuff. And let me start a sort of process of analysis here. You know, dear viewers, one thing I've realized is because I'm a temporary being, there's nothing I can really, take with myself from this world. This is what I've realized. The poet Rumi from 700, 800 years ago, he says, before death takes away all that is given, give away all that there is to give. The candle must completely give its light to its world before it is dismissed. And you, being who the Logos has found your ear, and the rhythms of life have brought you to this glass window where I'm speaking behind them. You see, there's different states of knowing. People think that in this life you're born, and they treat knowledge and their memory and their inner realm and their intelligence like a cabinet, like a file cabinet, organizing it, compartmentalizing it. But that is too slow. And so the reason it is too slow, because there are states of being where a person instantaneously knows. And this instantaneous knowing is in anything that is welcomed into your second nature. Right? There's this idea of like some things are second nature. The person doesn't have to think about it. I remember when I was young, I had solved the Rubik's Cube so many times that I forgot the algorithms, and it was just hand memory. I would just have the Rubik's Cube in my hands, and I would just look at there is a second what we tend to carry with ourselves. If you are Buddhist or a yogic individual, if you're someone who considers that there's a transcendental presence to this world regardless of your subjective personality and your objective existence, that there is something here that is noticing itself being here. And so, as the Upanishads very elegantly say, the seer of the seen is unknown. And so really what Mr. Within is here to give the species is an ability to recognize that once you meet the unknown, if you have a self, you will have fear. But if you are selfless, if you are selflessly initiated, which is another way of saying when you're not looking for it, it finds you. When you're not chasing the butterfly, when you have, sat like a lotus flower in a pond, you're just present. You're just in the realm, regardless of your name, regardless of your personality, to feel your existence, not to feel how subjectively you're in existence, but to feel how you are the existence of a presence. You see, that is when metaphysics becomes real. Why? Because the person realizes that their breath has been moving through the branches of their ideas and their physical existence to such a degree that the experiencer has come into a point of wanting to be known. Right? You see, spirituality is for those beings who in some sense the world laughed at and said, you think you can figure it out? Think again, kiddo. And then that child, that human being was in some sense thrown. He's saying, in some sense, some people say the ego is something that's bad. To me, the ego is a very advanced technology. So, to the title we go. So, when I've written, man may fear the world, but this world is fearless. To open up this sentence, in some sense, we have to cover what is man's fear of the world. And then the second thing would be, how is the world fearless? If I can explain these two, pretty much the talk's done. How is the world fearless? Okay, so the second question is very easier to answer. So I'll start with the second. How is the world fearless? fear equals loss or expectation of loss. And then we come here and we're like, okay, what does loss mean? And loss means change. So in reality, fear is how your past mindset has noticed, how your past inner mindset has noticed a different outer condition which it may not have had the time to prepare for. So the example would be like, imagine, so here I'll show a picture to the viewers. And guys, there's a picture I was going to show you, but I'll just explain. Pretty much representing the personality as the tip of an iceberg, right? So you're someone who, you may be right now listening to me, right, and thinking that you, the complete you, is listening to me. But the way Freud is saying is that who you think you are is the tip of the iceberg. And mysticism and metaphysics is when you realize you're not just the tip of the iceberg. You realize that you have an unknown relationship with an unknown world, not just a known relationship with a knowable world. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, see, fear is important, but at the same time, in certain situations, it can become unimportant. I have experienced moments, let me tell you something, of fear I overcame. Maybe this is a good thing. They say, don't just talk, like walk the talk. I'll walk. You know, I have walked. I've even ran the talk, you know. So let me explain. I don't know when this was. I think it was in 2011 going to 12, right? I don't know what had happened that year. Something had happened to me where I was having non-stop morning sleep paralysis. And I don't know if people know what sleep paralysis is, but sleep paralysis is kind of like when you wake up in the morning and your mind's awake, but your body is asleep. So you are kind of like, you get this sensation you're trapped in your body and you exert a lot of energy to lift your arm into the air, but your body's like just stuck in the bed, you're just heavy, right? So I would have this so many times that I lost the fear of it. It turned into annoyance. You know, imagine you were afraid of something, and then after some point you're like, what am I afraid of? Like, this fear is repeating too much. You know, it's annoying. That means when the fear becomes annoying, then some part of you really confronts it. Do you know? But if it's not annoying, if it's bearable, the person's like, okay, I'm comfortable having fear rather than understanding the situation. You know, that's the thing. That's one thing I've noticed that maybe I incorporate in my lifetime that I haven't noticed others, right? Where my thing is, I mean, at the same time, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's like I have an OCD, but of the inner realms. Okay, and so for me, it's like how a space is present suggests what you find in the space. And when I come to give these talks, there's a moment where I am actually just being here. I'm literally just like not even a subject to myself, just some object existing in the moment. And when I'm comfortable with how I'm existing as an object, then my inner realms are like, yo, we're free to run. You know, it's as if like within, but I'll be like, okay, wonder about it through different angles. You know, you might be surprised. So think about it this way. We have an example of the human being. Let's consider the human being a higher dimensional intelligence, right? Interacting with a lesser dimensional intelligence, such as a dog, right? Or a cat. Or if you were Salvador Dali, like an anteater, evidently, right? You know, I think one day anteaters are going to become creatures of myth. And people are going to be like, yo, anteaters didn't exist. Like, have the heads of lions and the noses of elephants. Like, that would be like the most savage thing. Man, I lost my trail of thought. Where was I going with this? Okay, I'll just continue from a rhythm. I don't know. There's many things I don't know. I feel it, you know. I don't know how many people are like this, but I can feel what I don't know. I can feel that when there are angles to something that I can't see those angles sometimes. But I can feel it, you know. There's a part of me that has this sense of like rationality where I'm like, yo, you know, I am a creature of this world, not just a creature in Pokemon or whatever. And I know that feeling of just being present in a space where you feel reality overcame a sort of egoic entrapment I was in. Okay, there was a time where I felt I had done something but then I was like, if I am the tip of the iceberg, if there is the unconscious, if there are components to my intelligence that I am not aware of, then this person I'm thinking is a coward is the tip of the iceberg. That means I realized that I thought the tip of the iceberg was the coward. And you know what this means? This means that at some point your heart has to select the real world. This is a strange thing. Usually we have the idea of like, you know, it's like my mind chose, you know, but I am saying your heart has to select the context of reality, right? Your heart is like a technology, a device that suggests the intensity of your karma. Your brain is a device that suggests what kind of karma, the type of your karma, the shape of your karma. You know, this is why compassionate people have advanced inner realms. Like, people don't realize, like, if a quantum physicist or some very advanced, let's say somebody went to the Dalai Lama and tried to explain the advanced sciences, the inner realms of the Dalai Lama probably is so advanced, or like people like Mother Teresa, right? Let me tell you why. Because these beings attain selflessness experience. That means they are blessed by the world to experience their own way of life in the moment, not as just an object of shape. And this is why many people are gravitated to religion, because they feel it's here only for us. The world is designed so that individualism dissolves over time. And so we may look at the void of space, and we may look at, the emptiness of this world and be like, where is everybody? But just maybe, right, the creatures in the world, they did not die in the world, they became the world. That means in this space where I feel there's nothing other than me, the eternal stand. And I am kind of like Maximus. I feel like a in a multidimensional transcendental context. I feel like Maximus, right? And the 7 lokas. Up to Brahma Loka, it's like it's like all the dimensions up to the top of truth, up to the summit of truth is like a giant Colosseum. And I feel like as a mortal being, as a human being, as they considered in Vedic, watching me, it is not me that's just watching myself, it is the whole world and all the dimensions the world could be. It's as if I am speaking to a cosmos. Because that's the point of organization and chaos, really. And so I feel like Maximus kind of looking at the realm of men and gods, the realm of gods and men, and being like, are you entertained? Are you not entertained, or something? Sorry, not are you not entertained? It's like, are you entertained? You know? And so really what it is that man is a creature of strategy. This is something that if you have experienced yourself in inefficient archetypes, you may not have comprehended the beauty of it, right? There was a time where the most beautiful thing to me was like the concept of power, but collective power moving in like do you know what I'm saying? It's like what is more beautiful? One person taking, in some sense, what do you call it? House alone, or 1,000 people building a house at once. And so you know what's going on? This is, let me tell you how the advanced civilization is going to happen. It's going to happen within some sense just like how a beehive happens. Bees are going to, in some sense, existential loneliness, you know, at any moment in life you may feel this. But you may also feel existential unity at any time. Do you know? And it depends on your mind. That means whoever you are right now listening to me, I want you to just try it out. Whoever you are, I want you to just sit down where you are. I don't care if you're in the kitchen, if you're in a boardroom meeting, if you're at work, wherever. You know, I mean, if you're at work, maybe it's difficult, but sit down on the ground. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a tuxedo or if you know your clothing is torn. Do you know? Doesn't matter if you have good jeans or ripped jeans. I want you to, for a moment, sit down, close your eyes, and for a second consider, if your mind was in front of you, what kind of character it would be. You know, I noticed that the species and the New Age community and the modern man, they're in some sense taking the concept of spirituality and just turning it into theosophy, as if people have forgotten what the divine presence was and are looking for the divine personality behind the veils of the senses. And so I'm like, okay, so dear humanity, you want to play games with the inner realms, with the veil, right? You can't wait. It's like the cat can't wait. As they say, curiosity killed the cat. So the cat's running towards its curiosity. So Mr. Within's like, what's the strategy here, right? And this is what I would tell you. Or Nordic mythology, and you wonder, for example, like I've given you this exercise where I'm like, close your eyes and wonder if your mind was in front of you, what it would look like, and your mind may suddenly look like, for example, like Thor. Do you know what I'm saying? You may feel your mind is like Thor. Do you understand? I want the viewers to instead of thinking, being gullible and believing what their mind shows them after they penetrate their veil of sensory perception, I'm saying establish the relationship. Because the issue is, it doesn't matter what you see on the other side of the curtain, it's what you trust which suggests your success as a being. Because I have thought, what is the opposite of fear? And it's trust. Fear is distrust. Anytime I've had fear, I've distrusted the space, I've distrusted the people, I've even distrusted my own judgment. You know, some situations I've been in, and I've been like, what if I've read this moment wrong? What if the way my mind extracted an angle of perception from the moment isn't the only angle of perception, right? And ask questions in the comment section, and also write down from which country you're listening from. I'd appreciate that. So anyways, this exercise, the point of me saying it is that I want you to realize that your mind, what we call the mind, is so advanced, your intelligence is so advanced that it can take the geometry and the shape of the physical reality, and it can close its eyes and project it in multiple ways, which is another way of saying the human being has never been just a creature in one world. It has been a creature that has been building and interacting between two worlds. It has been finding shape in front of its eyes and then changing it and adding it, and then in some sense overlaying it on everything. It's like, why do we have eyes? So our brain can access shape. And why is the brain accessing shape? To do something with the shape. And why is the brain doing something with the shape? So it can experience more to the moment. What the soul is that force that never feels enough. You see, this is the poetry, right? Some people see this world as a school, right? They see it as a certain spiritual context. They see this world as a school where your souls come here and is evolving, and good job, you're going to do the right things and graduate. But buddy, what if it's an infinite game? What if it's an infinite school? You can't move in it. So you can interact with your mind. There was a time where I never had too much of an interest. Do you know, because to me, I had this view as a kid that God was like the ultimate interdimensional being. Knowing the dream was not real, but the dream's imagery has influenced and infiltrated your mind already, which is a suggestion that the reason we know and the proof that the human being Okay. To continue. To be honest, dear viewer, I am not reacting, but trying to consciously respond to how I am an appearance. You know, you can't live in this world, noticing everything is dualistic,